Buying your medication is easy with City Drugstore's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis. It's another beautiful Saturday morning here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm Devon Cornelius, and you're listening to 1FM 98.9. For today's edition of Inside the News, it is Saturday, June 19, 2021. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those of you who tuned in via the radio, those who are listening via the World Wide Web, via our website at www.winmediaskn.com. And of course, those of you who tuned in via social media, a very pleasant morning is wished to you. And thank you so much for tuning into Inside the News. As per usual, we're here to have a discussion about this week's development in the news, what happened in the week, and what you would want to touch on, or what you think was rather significant throughout the week here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course across the Caribbean and I dare say in the international community. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. The phone lines are going to be open a little later today, as I want to get your participation in this program. You call and share your comments and concerns, your questions, and be a part of this discussion. The numbers to call are 466-0989-762 and 662. You can also leave us a comment on the Facebook page, which is Win Media SKN. Now, yes, a number of things took place throughout the week. The most obvious would be developments with COVID-19, and not just here, but across the region as well, in terms of every day we get new cases and we get double digits. We get double digits when it comes to these cases. And we recorded our first death on Thursday. And that is not just what is happening with COVID-19. Apart from COVID, we're looking at, sexual abuse in the workplace. We're looking at sexual abuse in homes, within families, right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And these are some of the issues I believe have been put on the back burner for some time. And many people, our society, have decided to forget about these things and not speak about them and not try to shed light on this very pertinent issue. Some would say that, um, we talk about it once in a while and then that's it, and you never hear about the topic again. But the fact of the matter is that it is happening, it has happened, it is happening, and it is the harsh reality. Sometimes when you look at people, I mean, there's a saying that says you're not supposed to judge people, not really a saying, but you're not supposed to judge people by how they look because you don't know what's really happening in their lives. But the truth is, there's so many people around us, and we think all may be well with them, and we really don't know what is happening with them. So today, I want to just scratch the surface just a bit about this topic, which I think is with important and deserves some conversation around it in terms of sexual abuse at work, sexual abuse in home, sexual abuse at school, sexual abuse in any way. And sexual abuse could be young and old, men and women. It's not just for the young women or the old women or anything like that. I would say sexual abuse does not discriminate in terms of it doesn't pick and say, well, I'm going to only target younger women or I'm only going to target older women. And so if you know of an incident, I think the right thing to do is to file a complaint. Yes, it may be in a situation where, apart from seeing this on the reality TV shows or anything like that, we know situations where people are being abused, and because of their 100% dependency on the abuser, the financial dependency, they are unable to get up and leave. They're unable to really walk out, and so they don't have that independence within them. They don't have that courage within them to say, look, I can't put up with this anymore, I am going to leave. And so I think that too is what fuels the whole sexual abuse, because you want to leave, but you still need food on the table. You still have to make sure the bills are paid. You still have to make sure that all is met, all family needs are met in the household. And so you really have to put yourself in a position, you know, whether you're going to decide, should I get up and leave and sacrifice all of these things, or should I decide to just go? That's a conversation I want to have with you guys this morning. We're going to say thank you to our sponsors for this program. And when we come back, I'm going to open the phone lines early this morning, and I'm going to welcome your calls. The numbers to call are 466 0989 762 and 662. You can also follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and you can leave us a comment there as well. But let's say this quick thank you to our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to continue this program. You're listening to Inside the News on Win FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, June 19th, Vaughn Cornelius. Let's take the short break. We'll be right back.
Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News. You're listening to NFM 98.9. I'm your host, Defode Devon Cornelius. I would say that this is, in my opinion, an unpopular topic in the sense that, yeah, you would hear about this social ill once in a while. You'll hear about it once in a while. And then there's some people that, would prefer to shy away from the topic. There's some people that would prefer, not to bring it up at all because it is so, in my opinion, it's so on an all-time high. On an all-time high. It's happening in places we never thought it could happen. And it's unfortunate. Now, sexual abuse is practiced against immature children through non-violent or violent molestation, pornography, prostitution, and in some cases, incest. And non-violent acts may include intimate kissing, touching, fondling of a child's genitals with the fingers or other objects, genital contact of intimate parts. Now, child sexual abuse is a pattern of behaviors with cumulative impacts on the victim, survivor, as it continues, damaging the individual's emotional well-being. Sexual abuse is a violent molestation induced through threat or force, including rape, during which there is attempted or successful oral or vaginal penetration of the child. The issue of prostitution is classified under child sexual exploitation for the purpose of the profit and may include use of the child for the creation of pornography. Now, as I said, this may be an unpopular topic. It's just yesterday I was having a conversation with an educator and we were discussing, possible topics that one should explore, whether it be at a debate, a panel discussion, an interview. And this topic came up. This topic came up of child abuse, sexual abuse, or sexual abuse as a whole, which affects everyone, men, women, boys, girls. And for a moment, I was like, man, this is a good topic. It's a fragile one. It's a very fragile topic, but it is a good one. And when I thought about it, I said it deserves some conversation. So I'm just going to scratch the surface a bit. And I promise that later on we'll come back and we are going to go more into the discussion. When you think about, for example, in our schools, And if you are to put yourself as, let me say, a parent figure, sometimes you may be looking out for the children or child of a neighbor, and you may know the situation going on. But because of such a small place, a close knit community, you don't want to cause any ruckus, you don't want to cause any confusion. So even though you know that something is going on within this family, or something bad is going on within this household, or something bad is going on at school, you may know, but you may not want to speak. And we sometimes we take it for granted when we talk about mental health or mental illness or depression. Sometimes we say people just looking attention, they're not mentally ill, and they're just acting out. But if we are to really do an assessment of one's mental health, just randomly picking out people, we would be surprised. Sometimes people go to work every day and they're not mentally well because of this topic, sexual abuse. Sexual abuse. And as I said, it is an unpopular topic because many people are afraid to touch on it. Many people are afraid to even scratch the surface. Now, the central characteristics of the child or sexual abuse, you have the perpetrators, male and female adults, and abuse by peers, children, consensual or no consensual, dominant position, violent and non-violent, such as force, coerce, deceit, physical contact, such as touching, and no physical contact. Now, we have the situation. Now, if we go further into this, touching or fondling of a child's body, genitals, or anus, or touching the breasts of females, that too is sexual harassment, sexual abuse. And many times this happens to people who we least expect it to. We have people who may be entrusted with. Sometimes as a busy mother, you may have to work 2 or 3 jobs, and you call a family friend, or you call just a friend, someone who you know close, someone who you know personally, and you say, look, I have to work these 2 jobs, I have to make ends meet, but I can't afford the daycare. I can't afford to leave my child or children anywhere else. So can you do me the favor? And automatically that person says yes. But you as the parent may not know or have no idea of what you're going to put your children into or your child into. And so now you are faced with guilt because you may tell yourself, wow, what if I have decided not to do such, to leave my child with someone who I thought I trusted? Then it may have been a different outcome. But the harsh reality is that you never know. You never know. The question is, what is the authority, or what are our authorities here, not just in Citizen Nevis, but in the region, doing to combat sexual abuse, to combat child sexual abuse? Earlier on, you would recall that I had a conversation about a lockdown because of the COVID-19 situation. And while we were able to explore some of the advantages of a lockdown in terms of curbing the spread of the virus so that it doesn't further get into the community, and we also look at the disadvantages of a lockdown. Back in 2020, between the early period of the pandemic, Superintendent Henry said they received 700 phone calls, or reports rather, many of which were domestic violence, domestic abuse. People calling to say that I've been sexually abused by such and such. I've been sexually abused by my neighbor or a family friend, or I've been beaten for no reason by a neighbor or a family friend. And we saw it increase rapidly because, as a caller once said on the program some time back, you're accustomed to being out and about. You're accustomed to, get up in the morning, you leave home at 8, you go to work, come back at 5 or 6 or 7, and you spend the entire day out of the home. But now that you're home, you have to tolerate these individuals, these people. You find yourself stressing out because you can't go anywhere, you can't go to work, you can't do what you're accustomed to doing. And so now you end up in trouble. And so some people may not see these advantages significant, but they are. And they have, in my opinion, long lasting effects. Long lasting effects. There are people today that are still suffering, that are still mentally unstable because of what they went through 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I dare say 20 years ago. There's still people today that are still insecure. There are still children today that are still in their shell because of what they went through many moons ago, many years ago. But they have not been afforded the opportunity to do any therapy, to speak about what happened, to even make a complaint, to say, well, this happened to me. And so we see the numbers of mental illness rise, and rise, and we take it as a joke and we say, man, that's not something that's concerning to us. As far as we're concerned, as I go back to the lockdown topic, the lockdown example, lock down the place and get rid of the virus. But I want the listeners to understand that, yes, we're in a pandemic, but the pandemic is not the only issue that we're facing. The pandemic is not the only issue that we are facing today. Many people and governments across the region, in my opinion, have shifted their entire focus on COVID-19. We have people dying every day from cancer. We have people dying every day from HIV. We have people dying every day from sexual abuse. These things are still happening. So while we have shifted our focus to COVID, all we are hearing about is COVID and the fight to get people vaccinated and the fight to get people to follow the non-pharmaceutical measures. The reality is there are other things that are happening in the world, and COVID is just one of them. And if I may bring it back home before I take the short break, COVID contributes to it with the lockdown. You lock down the place and you see all of these monsters raise their ugly head, specifically sexual and child abuse. 11:30, we're going to take the short break and we'll be right back. We're going to say thank you to our sponsors. When we come back, we'll open the phone lines and we're going to begin taking some calls. Let's take the short break. We will be right back.
TDC Automotive is paying for you. Deposit? We're paying. 3-month installments? We're paying. Pay nothing for 3 months because we are paying. Take a moment, catch your breath, and roll out with ease. Save over $20,000 off your new Toyota Hiace because TDC Automotive is paying. Get your Toyota Hiace today. TDC Automotive, #1 for a reason. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
On WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Again, let me say thank you to all of you who have tuned in. Those of you listening via Radio Land, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope that you're having a beautiful Saturday morning, regardless of what is happening around us. Give thanks for life and do what you have to do to keep yourself safe. I'm trying to do my best to keep myself safe, and I hope you are too. Good morning to those of you who are joined via the internet, of course, by our website at www.winmediaskn.com, and those of you who have joined via our social media platforms as Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Good morning and welcome back to Inside the News. It is 33 minutes past the hour of 11. I nearly said 12 of 11. And you're listening to Inside the News. This is WinFM 98.9. So, very unpopular discussion I'm having this morning, and it is about child sexual abuse. And as I said before, I am just scraping the surface just a little bit. So I was doing some research earlier, and I came across a report from UNICEF, sexual abuse against girls and boys in the Caribbean. And I just want to share some of these statistics and information that is in this study that was conducted by UNICEF. So it says child sexual abuse is rampant in every CARICOM country. Children are most at risk in settings where they are meant to be protected. I want to repeat that. Child sexual abuse is rampant in every CARICOM country. Children are most at risk in settings where they are meant to be protected. Child sexual abuse is endemic in the Caribbean region, and large numbers of children are believed to be affected. So, the situation, this is what it is. This is what it is. Intrafamiliar abuse is a problem in all CARICOM countries. Incest seems to be endemic. This is the situation. Now, the first sexual experience of young girls is frequently forced. 42.8% of girls younger than the age of 12. Most reported victims are girls. In the region, there is a rise of sexual abuse amongst boys or against boys. And most children are abused by a trusted or known adult, which is what I said earlier. So it may very well be somebody they know, somebody which is a family friend, a close friend, someone that they trust. And that is why you see it is so easy for them to do. Now, if we may look at the legal framework quickly, all countries have the convention or follow the convention on the rights of the child. Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, Haiti, Jamaica, and Suriname, they have the American Convention on Human Rights. Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Guyana, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines have the Convention Against Torture. All countries have the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. Then we have Belize, Guyana, and St. Vincent, optional protocol to the CRC on the involvement of children in armed conflict. Then we have Belize, Haiti, Jamaica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So this is just to provide you with a picture of how the legal framework is set up. Continue with the harmonization. It's a progressive and lengthy process. Desperate and archaic laws, legislation to prohibit production, possession, and dissemination of child pornography. Then, of course, you have a slow reform of the justice system. Complaints, law of evidence not conducive to the protection of children often results in a denial of justice for children who have been abused. Court testimony, the procedure such as the length. Now to look at some of the national legislation. Laws prohibiting and sanctioning incest, sexual offenses such as rape. Definition of childhood age, difference for boys and girls. All forms of sexual abuse and incest, antisocial behavior, uncontrollable. Now you may ask, who is a child? One popular question there too. Who is a child? In vast majority of cases, the age of majority in CARICOM countries is 18 years. The minimum age of criminal responsibility is very varied in the region. 7 to average 13. Age of consent for marriage is 18 in 7 CARICOM countries, from 12 to 21, distinction for boys and girls. And the age of consent for sexual activity is 16 in 11 CARICOM countries. So it's just to give you a quick knowledge of the situation. Now you may ask, access to justice, mandatory testing for cases for a sexual offense that can result in the transmission of a communicable disease, defense of reasonable or honest belief, requirement that child's evidence to be corroborated, exclusion of the public from hearings on child sexual abuse. This is one that I believe some people are not comfortable with. And I'll explain why I believe so. You will often hear of um, a rape that occurred in a particular area, in a particular country. And you would hear, well, this person was charged on June 19 for the offense of rape. But they won't tell you who the individual is who committed the rape. They won't tell you who the victim is, and they won't tell you where the person is from. They would probably give you a broad idea. So if the person is from a particular village, they'll say they're from District 1, District 2, District 3 or 4. And some people look at it as you hiding or protecting the criminal. When the fact of the matter and the truth is, you are protecting the victim. Because if you had to find out, well, John Doe did it, then automatically you're going to know that it was this young girl or this young guy or this young person who was sexually abused. So many people, many people sometimes are outraged. Oh, why we can't know the name? We need to know the name. But in many instances, sometimes when people are charged, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're guilty. You still have to go in the court of law, and they still have to prove that this individual was guilty. And so we're going to head forward with the matter. And so it's just to provide, I hope I have provided a better understanding for people who have always been, wanting to know why the names of these individuals are not released, or why you can't find out who the rapist is. Because many a times I would see these press releases come out and people get outraged. Oh, we need to know who the person is. But then when you find out who the individual is, you find out who the victim is. Yes, I know we're a small community, and sometimes you may see these notices come out, and you may even know everything about the whole situation before any of the authorities anybody say. And that is the fact of the matter, because we're a small community, and the news will travel fast. But if I may get back, those are just some of the legal framework legislation that have been put in place, access to justice that have been put in place for the sexual abuse. Now, violence in the home, in bracket, corporal punishment. The country, for example, we have Trinidad and Tobago. Situation, right to inflict reasonable punishment. Suriname, no clear prohibition of corporal punishment in the home. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right to inflict reasonable punishment. St. Lucia, right to inflict reasonable punishment. It is the same for St. Kitts and Nevis. Jamaica, right to inflict reasonable and moderate punishment on children. Grenada, use of justifiable force to correct a child, servant, or similar person for misconduct. Belize says, right to punish. Barbados says, right to administer punishment. And Antigua and Barbuda says, right to administer reasonable punishment. Very interesting. Now, all CARICOM countries have a law on the protection against domestic violence, except Haiti. However, three Caribbean countries are among the top 10 for reported incidences of crime. And all CARICOM or Caribbean countries have higher than the global average for rape. Domestic violence is rampant and not acknowledged as a serious issue, often considered as a women's issue, something that women bring upon themselves for not dressing right or doing the right things. But the sad truth, the sad truth is that there is domestic violence happening, and this is what I said earlier, and I will continue to say. Lockdowns, lockdowns. Yes, I've said before that the health authorities determine what's best for the country. And even while we're having this conversation about child sexual abuse and sexual abuse, the topic of COVID-19, and in particular here in St. Kitts and Nevis, where we're now seeing a hot increase of COVID-19 cases in the communities. I think today now we're at, as at the latest situation report, we now have 233 active cases with one death. So I can only assume that the conversation of a lockdown is on the table for the cabinet ministers. I can only assume that it is still on the table for the cabinet ministers. It's 11:47. I've been talking all morning. I want to hear from you, members of the public. The phone lines have been open, and numbers to call are 466-0989-762-162. You can call us and be a part of this conversation today. Weigh in and put your point. As I said, I know it's a very unpopular topic, and some people have and continue to shy away from the topic, which is fine. People tend not to want to speak about it, maybe because it is too close to home. But the phone lines are open, and I welcome your participation. Again, for those of you who just tuned in, you're listening to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9 with Devon Cornelius. Today is a beautiful Saturday. It's the 19th day of June 2021. You know, around this time, we would have been preparing for Music Festival. Yeah, we would have been preparing for Music Festival, but we're in COVID-19. And the situation is not going to change anytime soon. That is my opinion. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. But let's hope for the very best. If we have no callers at this time, we're going to give a shout out to the sponsor for this program. And when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion. Let's take the short break and we'll be right back. Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulties at this moment. Let me apologize for that. For those of you who want to call in, the numbers to call 466-0989-762 and 662. You're listening to Inside the News, 1FM at 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Good morning to all of the, I forgot to do this one earlier. Good morning to all of our frontline workers, especially the community health nurses. They are the ones that are on the front line. They are the ones that have been out there administering the vaccine. They are the ones that are out there, you know, tending to our sick patients. And they are the true heroes. Many times you would hear from ministers of health in the region, you would hear from prime ministers, you would hear from chief medical officers, but they are the policymakers, you know. They are the policymakers. They're the ones who would sit down in the room and make the decision. But do you know who have to do the work? The community health nurses, the nurses at the hospitals, at the health centers, the doctors. They are the ones that are on the front line. but they are not the only frontline workers. Okay, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have the phone lines still open to take your calls. Let's take the short break. We'll be right back.
Know that you captured those special moments. Turn them into lasting memories at the TDC Business Center. Purchase your photo print bundle and get a chance to win a Canon MG3010 printer. Click, add print. Visit TDC Business Center today.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News, 1FM 98.9. We seem to be experiencing some difficulties with the phone lines. I have a few people saying that they've been trying to call in all morning and they're not getting through. I am so sorry. Let me apologize for that.
Morning, Devon.
But okay, we have a caller on the line. Let us take this call. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon.
Good morning. How are you doing?
You're giving God thanks, man. I am in there listening to you, you know, on the topic. And tomorrow is Father's Day. And we often wonder why the response to the Father's Day is so poor. You ever wonder why?
You tell me.
Serious, you ever wonder why?
Yes, I have.
I even heard a radio announcer was saying they only have 5 fathers, they song. And we would hear the black conscious people talking about how the white slave master used to abuse the black women and their children. But the black men who are now freed have taken up the practice with little remorse, very little remorse. In fact, the female child is blamed, often blamed. And sometimes the mother intimidated or threatened. You know, and so it is sad. It's very, very sad, you know. We like to come, oh, the white man this and the white man raped the black woman. It is done with impunity. And as you say, when you got the lockdown, they prey on the children and they seem to have less feeling. In fact, it seemed to be a cultural thing, because I remember when I was growing up, they used to say, well, what? The farmer must get the first milk from the cow. You ever hear that one?
Oh, Lord. Yes, I heard that one before.
Yeah, so a lot of men feel that because the white man never thought about raping the boy child. But because they raised the girl child, before anybody have intercourse with her, they must first have it. And this cultural thing, cultural hatred. And then we wonder why our women are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
You're abusing generation of women, you know. We have all kind of psychological things to explain away without we are contributing to what the black woman is today, and the young girls, and then they want somebody who's a virgin to marry to. I don't know how to get that kind of equation work out. Everybody want a virgin and everybody trying to rape up all the young girls.
Wow.
And with the rise in pornography, it's worse. It's worse. So, everybody looking for an excuse and an avenue to molest. And so you don't need internet now, you need your data.
Mm-hmm.
And when you would have filled your mind with the pornography, you look around and you see the female child here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care if it's in the crib or out of the crib. And you ask about the thing about the publication of the name, it is illegal.
Yes, I know.
It is written in the law. I think our domestic abuse law 2002.
Yes.
It is against the law to publish. Publish could mean Facebook too, you know.
Yeah.
Any form of communication. It is
Yeah,
against the law
any
to
form.
publish
Whether it be Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube.
Because some people think publish means newspaper alone.
No,
Call
no,
the
no,
first name on the radio. Put it in your WhatsApp. Anything.
Right.
Any means you use
Right.
to publish the person's name. It is not protecting the man, it is protecting the female child.
The female. Wrap it up quickly, Miss Henry.
Right?
We have
And
some
so,
of
I want our men out there. Think, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you any better than the white slave owner? Ask yourself that. And give our females a chance. Give our girls a chance to grow up without emotional scars. You're scarring us? All right then.
Right, thank you so much. We're going to take one more call. We're going to take one more call at this time. I know some people were they told me that they were trying to get in and they could not. I'm so sorry about that. So we have just 3 minutes left before the hour of 12. I'm going to take one more call. And we're going to wrap up this program quickly for the headline news, and I'll be back at 12:30. We have a caller. Let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You are live.
Good morning, Devon. Good
Good morning. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. How about you?
Not bad at all.
Despite all of the challenges in these times that we're living in, we have a lot to give thanks for. And I know it won't be easy, but if we could just take our minds off of everything right now and just focus on Father's Day. Perhaps this is the year when Father's Day should get more attention than it has ever gotten. Because, number one, we're seeking to find something positive. I give God thanks for my father. I've been very, very blessed. And over the years, I've not been afraid to say, I have been blessed with the best father that God could ever have given me. I thank God that he gave me the father and the mother that he did. Unfortunately, my mom is not here with us anymore, but my dad is. And he is my right arm. He's my left arm. He's everything to me. And he's taught me a lot of things along the way. And so while we're social distances, and I know that this is not going to be easy, make this a special Father's Day, however we can do it. We just need to be creative. However we can do it, let's get closer to our fathers. Fathers, get closer to your children. Mothers, and I say this to the young women, because I've experienced this personally, do not allow a situation or an experience you had allow you to put distance between your child and his or her father. Move yourselves out of the way and let the divine take control to building relationships between children and their fathers. I pray if nothing else can happen this Father's Day, that will happen. Devon, I just want to say Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers in the Federation. And if I start to call names, I'm going to get myself into a whole lot of trouble. So I'm not going to, and I'm not going to keep you hanging on. But just Happy Father's Day to everybody you meet. Just say Happy Father's Day. Just say Happy Father's Day. Just acknowledge. As a matter of fact, for the next week, just acknowledge the men. Give them their due. Whatever it is, maybe you don't think it's worth it. Maybe you don't think they deserve it. But for one moment, let's just think positive. Let's just be positive with our thoughts. Because we have enough, we're surrounded with enough negative around us right now that if we're not careful, it's going to make all of us go crazy. So let's just find something positive to hold on to this Father's Day. Devon, thank you so much for taking this call.
And thank you, Carter, so much for your contribution and participation. It is now just 1 minute past the hour of 12. We're going to close the phone lines and we are going to take this break and we'll be back. We're going to have the headlines. Stay tuned for the headline news. We're coming back in just about a half an hour. You're listening to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. I have been your host, Devon Cornelius.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and its Development Bank.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs. And make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Everyone struggles at times. Even we too have our own struggles. Do you have a loan at the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis and have fallen behind on your payments because of financial difficulties? Have your financial situation changed? If your answer is yes, visit the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis or call 465-2288, extension 1101 or 469-5416 to make an appointment to discuss our debt evaluation and restructuring plan with one of our qualified officers. We are committed to working with you to make a sustained positive difference in your life.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WIN headline news, I am Kevon Brown. Making the headlines, cases seemingly on the rise even after statutory rules and orders 24. St. Kitts and Nevis braces for 2021 hurricane preparedness in the age of COVID-19. The U.S. government has relaxed some of the Leahy Law sanctions on the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. In the Bahamas, there are concerns over the Delta variant as travel picks up in the region. And internationally, the coronavirus variant known as Delta is becoming an increasing concern for governments globally. In the United Kingdom, up to 90% of new cases are linked to the highly infectious variant that was first identified in India. Now, the details. It has been 1 week since the start of the partial lockdown in the Federation. The aim of the lockdown was to slow down or stop the spread of the coronavirus that has been present in the community and out of the confines of quarantine sites and isolation for the past 4 weeks. What will the situation look like on June 26th when the statutory rules and Order 24 of 2021 are expected to expire? Currently, St. Kitts and Nevis has now recorded 304 confirmed cases of COVID-19 as at Friday, June 19th. When looking at the trend of cases over the past week, the initial numbers showed a decline from the 25 and 32 reported cases on June 10th and 11th, respectively. Within the first 2 days of the lockdown, there was a noticeable drop to 13 cases on Saturday, June 12th, and then 9 cases the following day. However, as people settled into the restrictions of the partial lockdown, the numbers gradually started to climb. 17, 18, 28, then to 25 as reported Friday, June 18th. There are now 233 active cases, and as previously announced, we recorded the first COVID-19 related death in 16 months since the first cases arrived in St. Kitts and Nevis. According to the OECS COVID-19 dashboard, St. Kitts and Nevis ranks 6 out of 11 countries in case count per 100,000 people. In terms of active cases, St. Kitts and Nevis ranked 4th, with Guadeloupe standing at the top with the most cases, 17,288 cases, 14,000 active, 2,200 recovered, and 265 deaths. And at the lower end, Montserrat with 20 cases total, 0 active, 19 recoveries, and 1 death. How does the National Emergency Management Agency prepare for a natural disaster in the time of COVID-19? That was the topic on the Friday, June 18th edition of Voices on WIN. Vesta Southwell, Public Relations Officer for NEMA, said subcommittees discussed steps to be taken before, during, and after a storm or hurricane.
If there is an event that is threatening us, in this case, during the hurricane season, a storm or hurricane, that is an imminent threat to the Federation, there is first a pre-strike meeting. That is what it is called. We gather all of our stakeholders together in one room under the patronage of the Mitigation Council. And so persons will present on the state of readiness. And of course, the Mitigation Council, with the mechanism that is in place just for this purpose, would do some reporting to Cabinet and so on to have some of those proposals, recommendations, requests addressed. So in other words, someone may come from shelter subcommittee and say there's an issue with a shelter in this area or whatever, and through the cabinet, the relationship between the mitigation council and the cabinet, we will get those issues addressed and so on. Once that pre-strike meeting is hosted, then we may or may not activate the National Emergency Operations Center. If it is activated during COVID, it might require some virtual activation, but certainly some persons will need to be within the NEOC at NEMA during activation. And decisions will be made there upon whatever impacts take place as a result of whatever hazard may be impacting at the time. As I've said, we're focusing on hurricanes and storms and so on because we are in the hurricane season. So we will be gathered there to address any issues as they come up and in effect to sort of run the operations of the country ongoing from preparedness to impact to recovery and rehabilitation.
Southwell confirmed that COVID-19 is pushing NEMA to focus on online messaging and the Internet of Things. Ulrika Lennon-Petty, planning officer for NEMA, said the organization started doing virtual exercises last year.
As everyone would have experienced, COVID brought its new set of challenges where we realized that we can't actually go out to the public like we did once before. And in lieu of that, what we did was take on a more virtual approach. Ms. Bass would have made reference to some of the exercises that she participated in. And so this year and last year as well, we started doing those virtually. We participated in Caribbean Wave as we do every year. And we actually had a virtual tabletop exercise for that. And it went really well. We actually had about 100 participants and it actually doubled the number because of that. We were able to test our stakeholders. Normally we test the public, but this year we decided to test the stakeholders. And because it was virtual, it enabled us to have an unlimited number of guests, and it gave persons a chance to join either morning or afternoon. And so I think that worked well. And when Ms. Bass referred to the upcoming exercise for foreign assistance, that will be done virtually as well. And that in itself should also create more opportunities for even more persons to join because, you know, sometimes physically being in a physical space presents its own challenge in terms of capacity of how much persons can fit in that one space. But we do not have that limitation with the virtual platform. And so that's one benefit of having our hurricane preparedness done virtually.
Explained Lennon-Petty. To modernize the messaging capabilities of NEMA, Southwell said that the agency is putting some focus on its YouTube channel to reach a wider and greater audience. Lennon-Petty said videos of hurricane preparedness tips are a work in progress.
We have also started doing some videos that you'll be seeing shortly. The communications unit is right now producing, or they will be producing some video shots of hurricane preparedness tips. I don't know if you've been lucky enough to see as well the infographics that they have been sending out about hurricane preparedness. And so we started doing hurricane preparedness a bit differently, a bit virtually, a bit more hands-off, but we are still doing the best we can and trying to reach as much persons as possible.
We are in another COVID-19 affected hurricane season, and the current spread within the Federation requires communication of a different caliber to reach all who could be affected by a natural disaster, officials concurred. The U.S. government has relaxed some of the Leahy Law sanctions on the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. HTS St. Lucia has the details.
The U.S. Department of State, through the application of the Leahy Law, withdrew U.S. security assistance to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force in 2013. The U.S. cited the unresolved allegations of the unlawful shooting deaths of 12 individuals by local police during a crackdown on crime during the 2010-2011 period, which included Operation Restore Confidence, ORC. despite subsequent coroner's inquest and the 2014-2015 impacts probe and report. The sanctions have remained firmly in place. Now, United States Ambassador to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, and the OECS, Linda Tagliatella, has announced that certain conditions of the Leahy Law have been removed on some units of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
Since 2013, the Royal St. Lucian Police Force has been excluded from our assistance due to the implications of some St. Lucian Security Force personnel in the alleged extrajudicial killing of civilians. I've come here to announce that starting today, we will be able to expand assistance to selected units within the Royal St. Lucian Police Force.
The Marine Police Unit and the Immigration Department were the two lucky units to be chosen to receive U.S. security assistance. It should be noted that these two departments are at the center of a plan to establish a border control agency for St. Lucia. According to Tagliatella, training will allow for these two particular units to better handle trafficking in the region. The easing of sanctions will also see some units benefiting from professional military education, state partnership exchange program with Florida and the United States National Guards, and regular maritime support.
This is only the first step. We look forward to continuing to expand our cooperation and engagement. An important part of this process is to ensure full accountability on allegations of extrajudicial killings. We continue to call for the credible investigation and accountability in these cases in order to broaden cooperation to all units. We have always been confident that the vast majority of the Royal St. Lucian Police Force are professional and law-abiding officers who are not in any way connected to the alleged gross violations of human rights from a decade ago.
The contentious Operation Restore Confidence and the subsequent imposition of the Leahy Law has haunted the island for a decade. Commissioner of Police Milton Daisy welcomes the partial reprieve from U.S. authorities.
Transnational organized crimes, including the cybercrime, human trafficking, money laundering, and firearms and the drug trade, it needs to be under control to make individuals and the country on the whole safe. We are pleased that Your Excellency has announced the lifting of certain conditions of the Leahy imposition and has agreed that certain departments in the force will be receiving further assistance.
The two main political parties have sparred for years over the alleged missteps in the handling of ORC and the impacts probe. On the eve of another general election, Prime Minister Alan Chasney is touting the UWP government's role in the major step toward closure in the unresolved matter.
When I came in here, that's what it felt like. It felt like the Leahy was there and there was no plan B as to how to make this happen. The boats weren't operating, the forensic lab was closed, the radar system was shut, we couldn't get ammunition from the U.S., and there just didn't seem to be anything in process to resolve those issues. So that's what we've been able to do, is to mutually agree that it's important that you have a strong police force. It's important that St. Lucia be in a position to protect its borders. It's important that St. Lucia play a role in regional security. But at the same time, mindful of the U.S.'s requirement that this issue be resolved, because they take human rights very seriously.
But what will it take for a complete removal of the sanctions? Ambassador Tagliatella details the road ahead for the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution.
There is no requirement that people must be found guilty or convicted of charges. What it means is that there has to be a reasonable and respectable process by which people are held accountable and determined whether in fact they had participated or not in a particular activity. So it's up to the DPP to put together his best case or cases. It's up to him to determine and to document those cases that can't move forward because there is insufficient evidence. And from there, we can move forward to go back to the United States government and discuss whether this is acceptable under the Leahy laws and whether we can then remove the restrictions.
As it stands, the Leahy law sanctions are still in place on other units and departments of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
In the Bahamas, there are concerns over the Delta variant as travel picks up in the region. Eyewitness News has that report.
Well, it's being branded by the CDC as a variant of concern. The Delta variant has now become the dominant strain of COVID-19 across several countries, raising concerns that outbreaks could hit us by this fall. Our Matthew Moxie tells us more in this report.
A new variant of the coronavirus now on the radar, and health officials say that the Delta strain is more transmissible and can cause more severe disease than any other.
And the people who have COVID, the Delta variant, are 85% more likely to be hospitalized.
With tourism arrivals climbing, health officials are anxiously watching the Delta variant as it spreads through an unevenly vaccinated American public.
And it is concerning because we know that COVID and these COVID variants can spread by travel.
COVID-19 cases have reportedly been declining over recent weeks, but there's a concern that could change as the pace of vaccination slows and the Delta variant spreads. Already, the variant accounts for 10% of U.S. cases. Opposition leader Philip Davis, during his budget contribution on Tuesday, urged the government to be ready for the potential impact of this variant. This as he cautioned the Minnis administration not to make the same mistakes again, which he says leads to impromptu measures imposed on residents.
And there's the crude use of lockdowns as a blunt and harmful practice to stop the spread of the virus. As you have said time and time again, if the government conducted free testing instead, they would know which people are infected and which are not. Those without the virus could carry on being economically productive, whilst the others could be isolated and treated as required.
Government's travel policy leaves the door open for carriers of the virus, as vaccinated people no longer are required to test, though they are considered a low risk. On the bright side, Dr. Forbes says the existing vaccines protect against the Delta strain.
The AstraZeneca vaccine is 60% effective to protect against the Delta variant, and it's also even more effective to prevent hospitalizations from the Delta variant.
Health officials revealed in April that more contagious variants were in the Bahamas and that samples were sent abroad to identify which strains are present. But almost 2 months later, there has been no word from the National Reference Lab. Matthew Moxie, Eyewitness News.
We now bring you these international reports.
The Delta variant, first discovered in India, is making itself at home in Europe. In Britain, it's responsible for new infection numbers soaring past 11,000 in a single day and doubling every 11 days. Hospital admissions are rising, though deaths remain low. That's because the success of the vaccine rollout means the elderly and vulnerable are protected, leaving mainly young adults to get it, and they tend to be less susceptible to serious illness. In countries where vaccine rollout is less advanced, the risk is greater. The Russian capital, Moscow, has seen daily infections rise by 30% this week, prompting an extension of restrictions and a rebuke of public behavior from the Kremlin.
Total nihilism and the low vaccination level were behind the surge. We must also not forget the cunning of the infection itself.
Only 1/8 of the country's population has been vaccinated with Russia's own Sputnik vaccine, and it's now become mandatory for those in public-facing work like retail, education, healthcare and public transport to get the jab. Elsewhere in the EU, where vaccination programs have escalated after a slow start, restrictions are being eased and holiday travel is back on in the hope of a post-COVID summer. European Football Championship matches are drawing big crowds, but the Delta variant may have other ideas, and countries like Germany are warning that it could become the dominant strain continent-wide by the autumn.
its characteristics are it is a better match for the ACE2 receptor on the human cells. So if this is the receptor, this is the virus, it forms a better fix, a better attachment. And because it is able to better attach to human cells, you need fewer number of virus particles to set up an infection.
Where people travel, so will the virus. The variant is present in more than 80 countries worldwide, and many are looking at the UK's experience as an object lesson in the perils of overconfidence.
We've now done, I think, 80% of adults in this country have had a first jab, and we're now asking 18-year-olds to come forward. So we're making huge progress.
The country that has trumpeted vaccine success loudest in Europe is, for the moment, moving fastest in the wrong direction. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera.
It was the first time the General Assembly made its position known on Myanmar since the country's coup 4.5 months ago. Secretary General Antonio Guterres pressed member states for a strong message.
We cannot live in a world where military coups become a norm. It is totally unacceptable.
The text was adopted with 119 votes in favor, 1 against, and 36 abstentions, including some countries from the region.
External blind pressure or imposition of sanctions on Myanmar is not only ineffective, but, quite on the contrary, it might aggravate the issue.
The resolution calls for the release of State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and other political prisoners, an end to violence against peaceful demonstrators, and humanitarian access. Notably, it also calls for member states to stop weapons from getting into the country. But only the Security Council has the power to impose an arms embargo, and so far, veto-wielding powers China and Russia have opposed targeted sanctions. The General Assembly resolution was sponsored by some 60 countries, including Canada.
Get the country on a path to democracy. That's a very clear message to the junta, and it's a message that says, stop the atrocities, let's deal with the need for democracy as soon as we can. And the delay has gone on for several months. Let's move forward.
Myanmar's ambassador to the UN, an outspoken critic of the military, says the resolution doesn't go far enough.
We are so disappointed that it took almost 3 months to adopt this watered-down resolution, even though it does not include many important points to save lives of the people in Myanmar.
The General Assembly, where every country has a vote and no country has veto power, has now weighed in. But will Myanmar's military listen? They've resisted similar calls from neighboring countries in the regional ASEAN group before, but now with this world body behind them, the calls are getting louder. Kristen Falumi, Al Jazeera, the United Nations.
In normal times, the stands would be packed for a Copa America showdown between Argentina and Uruguay. But because of the pandemic, matches at this year's tournament have been staged behind closed doors in Brazil, who only took over as the host nation at the last minute from Argentina due to a surge in COVID-19 cases there. But any off-field turbulence the Argentines experienced in the build-up didn't seem to impact them in Brasilia.
Argentina lead.
They took the lead early on, Guido Rodriguez netting after being set up by none other than Lionel Messi.
Drives towards the byline and clips that.
Uruguay, who haven't won this fixture at a Copa since 1989, barely threatened a response. One of their few moments of note was a failed penalty shout by Edinson Cavani. Argentina controlled the game and could have added to their lead, but in the end, one goal was enough to seal victory against their fellow South American Goliath. The win means Argentina sit top of Group A with 4 points after 2 games.
I believe that the team gave a lot in order to not concede goals. You learn how to handle your opponent's attacks and then hurt them when possible. Today, I believe we did both well.
Chile drew with Argentina in their opener, and they're level on points with them in the group after registering their first win of the competition. A goal from Ben Berreton was enough to seal a 1-0 victory over Bolivia. Next up for Chile is Uruguay. A win in that game will certainly get fans talking up their chances of landing a third Copa title. Sohail Malik, Al Jazeera.
You were listening to the Win FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were cases seemingly on the rise even after statutory rules and orders 24. St. Kitts and Nevis braces for 2021 hurricane preparedness in the age of COVID-19. The U.S. government has relaxed some of the Leahy Law sanctions on the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. In the Bahamas, there are concerns over the Delta variant as travel picks up in the region. And internationally, the coronavirus variant known as Delta is becoming an increasing concern for governments globally. In the United Kingdom, up to 90% of new cases are linked to the highly infectious variant that was first identified in India. Thank you for listening.
That was the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and Development Bank.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Everyone struggles at times. Even we too have our own struggles. Do you have a loan at the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis and have fallen behind on your payments because of financial difficulties? Have your financial situation changed? If your answer is yes, visit the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis or call 465-2288, extension 1101 or 469-5416 to make an appointment to discuss our debt evaluation and restructuring plan with one of our qualified officers. We are committed to working with you to make a sustained positive difference in your life.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
People make the world go
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. Good afternoon to all of you who have tuned in via Radio Land, those of you who are joining via social media, those of you who have tuned in via Facebook at Win Media SKN. Good afternoon, I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It is just 39 minutes past the hour of 12, and you're listening to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. So I know for some time we have not heard from our Caribbean brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as it relates to what is happening down there with the developments of the La Sofia volcano And of course, they too are faced with the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I was fortunate enough to touch base with a colleague there, and we're now going to hear a short update from them as it relates to what is happening on the ground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'll have the technician play this clip for me. Have a listen.
Good morning, everyone. Uden Hilux here from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As it relates to the state of affairs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with everything that's happened in the last 2 months, we have resumed to some sort of normalcy. We have seen most of the shelters housing persons in the orange zone closing, and those persons returning to their homes in the orange zone, and even persons in the red zone up to the point of the Rabaka River. However, persons beyond the river have not returned home, and it doesn't look as though they'll be able to return home anytime soon. But so that there are minimal shelters open right now. But I think the spirits are still high in the country, and persons have just learned to deal, or to live with rather, the circumstances that we face right now. As it relates to the pandemic, COVID-19, I think the vaccination rate is still climbing slowly but surely. We have seen persons taking the first and second doses as need be, but I don't think it's as quick as it needs to be. I have already taken my 2 doses, and the reason for everybody would differ by individual. For those who wanted to travel, or those who wanted to go along with life, going back to some normalcy, or those who just want to take it to be on the safe side. The range of reasons vary greatly by the individual, but I think we are getting there slowly but surely. So yeah, and that's really what's happening here right now. As I said, we are just living with the effects of the volcano right now. We know that now is the rainy season, so we have actually seen some heavy rains coming through and causing mud flows in those same red zone areas. So we can still see that there's some disaster risk in those areas. So we're still being cautious of those areas. But for the most part, we have just learned to adapt to the situation right now and continue living as best as we can.
That was a colleague of mine, Odion, that is out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, just providing a quick update on what is happening on the ground there as it relates to, of course, COVID-19 and the La Sofia volcano. People are still faced with challenges there. We have our first caller for this afternoon, so we're going to take that call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live.
Good afternoon. Give thanks for the reason so far. We want to put in our little penny, you know. But before we do, we want to echo the same vibration to fathers all over the world. You know, full joy today. Let us make it meaningful. It's a balance, you know. Yeah. Today, June 19th. Juneteenth Day, Emancipation Day, it was 1865 on this day. Certain things transpired. Let us have a reflective vibration concerning this as a people, as a race of people. Before going on one communicator to the next, my brother, I will never try to override your reasoning. If we notice you implied that one day, but it was not like that. We was not hearing you well, and that's why we wanted to just continue speaking and come off the line. And that is the reason why we intentionally came off the line. You know, we will never do that. We know how important it is to listen. One listen and one speak, you know. That's the way communication goes.
Right.
Concerning the topic, you know, it is a serious issue, very serious issue, especially up to the time we have seen Earth overrun with sexual zombies. And even though, you know, the culprits we cannot leave them within innocency, there's a system in place that we need, that is a bigger picture that we need to look at, you know. We said it before, and we said the church and the state have removed sex, the act of sex, from its sacred pinnacle of the original marriage bond. Therefore, it leaves earth inhabitants in confusion where sex is concerned. And as we said before, look, it's not just St. Kitts Nevis and the rest of the region, but the world is overrun with sexual zombies because the church has told people and continues to tell people, and the state is an accomplice to that with their whatever. And sex, they're saying marriage before sex, and sex is marriage. Therefore, sex has been trampled upon. Thus, the sexual zombies, thus, the innumerable sexual offenses all over the earth. And the church and the state must correct this error and allow sex to return on the pinnacle where it belongs. Thanks for listening to us. Blessed love.
Thank you, callers, so much for your contribution and participation, as always. It is now 12:47, and you're listening to Inside the News on WinFM 98.9. We are still taking your calls. The numbers to call are 466-0989-762 and 662. Call us and be a part of this discussion. If we have no callers, we're going to take a short break in just a quick moment, but we have a caller. So let us take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live on Inside the News.
Yes, good afternoon, folks, and the panel.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Carl Brown here, and good afternoon to the listeners home and abroad. Is the vaccination program a part of your discussion today?
No. Would you like to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I have a few concerns concerning that vaccination program. First, I must tell you all, I do not believe in it. Right?
Okay.
That's my opinion. I don't believe in it. Okay. A few of the concerns I have listened a few discussions on a number of programs. The NOC, you know, a few of them will. Why is it that we are not told how many females of the numbers that they are claiming have this corona, how many males, the age group between different range? I think that is sort of important to the discussion of this corona and vaccination program. And one question I have to ask, maybe some of you could answer it, maybe that's a question we need to ask the NOC and maybe the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health. Is there going to be a third shot of the vaccine? Because we know, and we have been hearing of 3 waves of corona. We are here, trying to get people vaccinated with 2 shots. Now, is there going to be a third booster shot after these 2 shots reach the 70% that we are claiming that we need to reach? Is there going to be a third booster shot? And after that third shot, is there going to be a 4th shot for the people who are fully vaccinated with the first 2 shots? And the other thing that we need to think, we need to hear how many children who have catch this corona, how many have come out of it good. And the other concern I have about it, we claim that this vaccine is so good, but yet we have no vaccine for 17 years and down. These are people dying from the same corona, catching the same corona, and going through the same process as the adults. Again, gentlemen, just some things for you all maybe to have a little discussion on, and maybe those people who does ask the questions, when the NOC come on, maybe they could ask some of those questions to them. But as I say, I don't believe and I don't want the vaccine. Reason being, folks, is this. You take these shots of vaccine, you catch the corona still. You could still spread it. So then, why we have this community outspread, folks, is that we people was not following the protocols. That is why we have this large claim of community outspread. And if we continue to follow the protocols, we would be good. We wouldn't need to be rushing or forcing or demanding that people must take this vaccine. Gone, folks.
Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution. You're listening to Inside the News on Win FM 98.9. So essentially what that caller was saying is for the health officials and the government to provide more information as it relates to the COVID-19 cases. And of course, he shared his sentiment that he is not in support of the vaccination program, which is totally fine, meaning that is your opinion and you're entitled to it. We have heard, if I may make a quick shift, we have heard of many people saying the vaccine is not going to prevent you from catching COVID, and that is the truth. However, the health experts have said that taking the vaccine will decrease the risk of you becoming severely ill, or decrease the risk of you dying from COVID, especially if you are an individual who have underlying health conditions. So if you have taken the vaccine, do not let your guard down against COVID-19. Because I realized from the onset, the message we heard, and maybe somebody has heard something different, but I heard something like this: take the vaccine so that we could get back to normalcy. And I thought about it for a moment, and I realized that it didn't really make much sense, because there is no normalcy coming back right now, or at all, I dare say, because PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, is saying to you, whether you have been vaccinated or not, still keep your guard up against COVID-19. We have a call on the line to get in, so we're going to take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. So yes, whether you have been vaccinated or not, you are encouraged to keep your guard up against COVID-19. Okay, the caller is back. Let us take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live. Oh, we seem to have lost that call. Let me apologize. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. Okay, caller is back. Let us take this caller. Caller, good afternoon. You are live.
Yes, good afternoon. I'd like to quickly say that a few things. One, concerning marriage in the Bible, marriage is not really necessary.
Oh, caller, I sincerely apologize. We seem to have lost you there. I sincerely apologize. Please call us back. Please call us back. Yes, so vaccinated or not, keep your guard up against COVID-19. There's some people that think that, oh, I'm vaccinated, so I don't have to wear masks. We have a caller back. Let's take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live.
Man, I'm here giving God thanks. The
Good
Bible says
afternoon. How are
wisdom
you
is the
doing?
principal thing, you know. The Bible says the wise fear and take warning. Fools despise wisdom. They pass on and are punished. Now, Devon, if you work in an institution where you are more likely to pick up the virus, wouldn't you protect yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And my good friend Calvin works at the hospital. He has heard Dr. Sebastian say that people turning up in the A&E, you know, with the virus. Instead of going to the section for the virus, they're going into the ordinary section. He might have to transport one they might beg him a lift. Nothing else anybody could say could convince my good friend Carl Brown. He has made it clear he don't believe in it, so I don't know what he's asking about. The Bible says he who is unjust will be unjust still. And so he make up his mind if he get it and die. The issue with people under 18 getting it has to do with the trials. They did not try it out on them, therefore they cannot give it to them. That is the answer. And if you know that taking the vaccine gives you a certain amount of coverage, it's more than zero, because right now, as you are, you have no protection. You may have on the mask, you work long hours, you may keep on the same mask. People in and out with the virus, coughing and sneezing. It could be on the outside of your mask, and you're not aware of it. And you're working where you hear one die, others in the hospital, and that does not weight in your consciousness. The Bible says, "Fool wash and are punished." You must know where you are. If you, for example, if you're at home, Devon, you're not going anywhere.
Yes.
I mean, nobody can contaminate you.
Mm-hmm.
But to be working in a high-risk area and take that position is not very wise, you know, Carl Brown. Know where you are.
So essentially, if you work in an environment that high risk,
you should be more careful. A mask alone may not save you. A mask alone may not save you. Or take you work in the radio station. Guests come in and out. You know, one of them could leave the thing in the room.
Yeah, I see your point.
You got to protect yourself. You can't see it. You may think you clean the place. A lot of us are acting careless. And then we come, the doctor ain't doing and the vaccine can't work if you don't get it. It gives you a certain amount of coverage. Something is more than nothing. And if you have to take a next one, we used to get booster shot, you know. We carry back the child. If the immune system is, they give me my next one. So what if you have to get a next one? You hear all kind of variants going around. Huh? Those who take the flu can take one every year. You know that?
And you know, as we're talking about variants too, they have not confirmed, but there is some belief that we may have a different variant here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's spreading so fast.
What kind of say we have now?
No, they have not confirmed. When Dr. Law said they did send samples
I mean
to
the
Kappa.
speculators and the cynics. Cause they know
Pardon?
everything. I hear some of them say.
No, I wouldn't say that, because the reason why that is a question, we know of the incident with case 46. We heard about some Argentina guy, and then after that, the numbers in zero active cases. So now 233 active
So somebody
first
took it
death.
and died. Let me ask you a question. Somebody took it and died. Does that protect you?
You listen to what I'm saying?
Say it again.
I'm saying to you that the question of what variant we have is a valid question, because we now have over 200 active cases in less than a month.
Now, let's go back to that number. You got to break it down, you know. Because I heard you say, well, we have this lot. If you have people in the prison and people who work in homes for the elderly, some of you, when you are away from the job, take off your mask, you're up and the place, you may have it and you don't know. You know, that's what happened in America with the seniors' homes and so. The largest number came from the prison. And it did not walk through the gate. It was carried in there. In the schools, it was carried in there. So if you really go and break down the numbers, the virus spread in large numbers because of individuals who were not, some of them were not aware of it, took it into situations, schools. You know schools, right?
Yes.
And some of them took it to their homes. It wasn't like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1 here, 1 there, 1 there. And so we need to be careful. We need to be careful. A lot of you don't want the vaccine, but you don't want the mask. And if you have the mask, you're not using it properly. One of them say, oh, they're hand drunk. They want to sanitize on the hand, then use soap and water.
What is it, the hand drunk?
My good family. He said, too many drunken hands. I think he was just joking, eh?
Yeah.
But we got to take this thing serious. You go to church, some people arguing, oh, why did they open the church? Go in India, good. Some sister, some brother in the Lord get happy. Or the choir get happy and sing up in your face. You know, in Barbados, it happened. In one church, 19. Men of the charge, the pastor. Think about the people other than yourself. You don't want none, do your best you can. You can't half do. And all who don't want the vaccine supposed to overmask, sanitize, and Carl, take care of yourself. You are overexposed. And you not wanting or ain't believing will make no difference to Mr. Corona. Anyway, I encourage everybody to pray for their people. Have you heard about Barbados?
In regards to what?
In regards to the storm.
Oh, yeah, I did. They call it a freak storm.
Yes, my daughter lives there. It's up to yesterday, they didn't have any electricity. People lost their houses, roof gone. People homeless.
That's crazy.
You know? Anyway, happy birthday to my granddaughter in Suriname. Today's her birthday, Michaela. And the flooding. I think we just ignoring what's going on in the world, you know? Guyana flooded. Suriname flooded.
Right. Thank you. We're going to take some more calls at this time. We have some other callers on the line. Let's take some callers. Thank you for your contribution, Mrs. Henry. The situation is developing, but as I was telling the caller, Mrs. Henry, that the question is indeed valid, you know, in terms of what variant of COVID-19 we have. It's a valid question. We have a caller on the line. We're going to take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live on Inside the News.
Yeah, greetings again. Very valid question. Family, yes, I was joking, but between me and you see them alcohol in them and me use them and wash up my hand. Talking about that, The best thing to use to cleanse your hands and food, especially food, because we people cleanse food, is lime. Lime. If you do not have the lime that you can cut, you use lime juice. Please, do not wash food with soap. What you know? You see, because we are still a little bit from the topic, yeah? Even though we didn't want you to come off it, I tell you the truth. But
Yes.
we depend on the vaccine thing and the corona thing.
That's
So,
okay.
Huh? I can go
Yeah,
ahead?
that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. No,
Oh, okay. We seem to have lost that caller. Caller, I apologize. Please call us back. 466-098-9762 and 662. We seem to have lost that caller. Yes, it is just 5 minutes past the hour of 1 here in our studios at 1FM 98.9. Phone lines are still open. You can call us and be a part of this discussion. The conversation has shifted a bit to, of course, what is happening to the COVID-19. It's a very interesting topic, you know. It's something that we talk about every day. And it is worth talking about. Know that our active cases are at 233. That's crazy. That's crazy. What is still bothering and troubling is that people still operating as if all is well. You know, some may say COVID is not real. I believe it is real. I think what happened now is I can't say for sure, but there is speculation that we have a different variant of COVID. However, we are waiting for the health officials to confirm that. So don't say that I say we have a new variant of COVID, but it's still a valid question as to what variant of COVID we have here. But there's a caller who's trying to get in, so we're going to take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon.
Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. You hearing me?
Yes. Speak up.
Yes. I don't know if you can help me in this regard.
I'm
We are
listening.
told that the vaccine that is out there hasn't been any trials for persons who are, let's say, 18 years and below, or let's say 17 and below. Yet, we are told by the team that the vaccine is safe for pregnant and lactating mothers to take.
Yes.
Now, I believe all of us know that whatever is taken into the mother's body, the pregnant woman's body, the child automatically feeds from it. The same thing for breastfeeding. It comes to the baby through the milk. So if they don't have anything for children stronger in body, so to speak, 17 years below, how is it that our pregnant and lactating mothers are told that it is safe for them to take the vaccine? Have they forgotten that there is a fetus inside that can be so severely, negatively affected? If big people have these adverse reactions, could you imagine what could happen to that fetus? Or that baby that is breastfeeding? I mean, what is really wrong with us? What is really wrong with us? And it's a type that some of these country leaders have suspended use by their citizens until further information is garnered. You hear them talk about the blood clots. Now, you know, during pregnancy, it's a life and death situation for a woman. It's not an easy journey for any woman to be pregnant. And a lot of things can happen, including blood clots and so on. So I don't know if you know to this point whether the vaccines that they are encouraging our pregnant and lactating mothers to take, if they have done the trial on those pregnant women. And when I say trial on pregnant women, I mean our kind of women, to see what has happened. But, to each his own. And the thing about it is those who are going to believe that this is not real, that's their belief. Those who are going to believe that it is real, that's their belief. Everybody is not going to accept the same thing. Everybody is not going to do the same thing. So that's my contribution.
And thank you for your contribution, caller. We are still taking calls at this time. If we have no callers, we'll take a short break to say thank you to our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to continue this program. Let's take this short break and we'll be right back.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click. With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News. You have a call on the line. Let's take this call.
Good day, Mr. Cornelius.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. I think we absolutely need to get real with this outbreak. Not treating it, I think, with the seriousness that it deserves at various levels. There seems to be an attempt to pin this on the unvaccinated and the vaccine skeptics and the, whatever deniers, and the opposition. Okay, the latter group, the opposition, is particularly surprising since this opposition has given the government the longest honeymoon in history. So they have been very low-key with their interventions and engagement. Okay? As someone noted, the vaccine was brought into the country. It was contracted, and from that one event, it spread to first what they call clusters, and then we had community spread, and then we had a death. Right? We absolutely need more information on that case 47. For if it is true that it was a person from Argentina, a visitor from Argentina, which was a hot spot, then it may be that we are dealing with the Brazilian variant. And do we know the efficacy of the AstraZeneca, which is the one, the vaccine that we're using now?
against that variant, right? I mean, these things should have been investigated as a matter of urgency, priority. It has been several weeks now, and
I agree.
to say that, you know, it's been sent to CAFA, and we don't know the results yet. You know, I don't think that is good enough. Okay, because the facts may be difficult to take because it doesn't suit our narrative, right, or the narrative being propagated right now. But this is a pandemic, and we need to know the facts so that we can tailor our responses to suit. Okay, it's always interesting when, for instance, I hear people say, take the politics out of it. You know, this reminds me of, you know, they have this saying, if you hear somebody say, it's not about the money, you can bet your life it definitely is. It's the same thing here. The people who are saying, take the politics out of it, etc., are the very ones putting the politics in it, you know. Because just listen to their responses. They're always, instead of trying to get, to convince people, for instance, to take the vaccine, they are going to be coming down on people who they say have been misleading people into telling people to wait for vaccine, misleading them and telling them not to take this particular vaccine, to wait for some other more effective vaccine. Okay? All that is not necessary. Okay? If people have genuine fears about a particular vaccine, then cater to that and try to convince them that their fears are unfounded. But there are too many unknowns in this to be using the kind of tactics that I see being used. Right?
You know, what I would say, sorry to cut you off. What I would say, Carla, is I agree with you in the sense that we would have individuals right now. We have individuals right now who are not in support of the vaccination program. That is fine. If you don't believe in vaccination, that is fine. That is your choice. That is your opinion. But what I have seen happening is people are chastising you, lambasting you, and making you feel less than for not believing in the vaccination. And I don't know. I mean, instead of trying to reason with you, you are seen as a threat to society. You are seen as not important anymore.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. It's the vision. It's the vision that it creates. I saw something there, for instance, where in order to attend particular events or shows in the U.S., you have to be vaccinated with a CDC approved or recommended vaccine, which rules out AstraZeneca. Okay? That is going to create a division. There is no such thing as, yes, there is science that shows that vaccines work. No question about that. But there are also lots of unknowns about the vaccine, how long they're going to be effective for, how often we have to take booster shots, or those kinds of things that we don't know about, right? Then we're going to know for sure that the younger ones, people are turning 18 all the time, then we can give the younger population a vaccine. Those sorts of things, right? So instead of trying to create divisions, let's try to get answers to a lot of the questions that we now have. Okay, I think that is the approach. And it's been what? Since May 9th, I think this thing first started, this second wave, so to speak, and it exploded since then. Are we sure
May 19th.
that we, right? are we sure that we are following the best in terms of protocol and our response to what has been happening? Okay? Because when we look, for instance, at other places that have contracted the virus, they were opened up before us, but did we actually have an explosion like what we have now? All these things need to be looked at, okay, with a view towards making sure that we are doing what's best, okay? We may be doing great, I don't know, we may be, okay, but the objective here is to do our best. Because if we don't do that, then more people will get it, more people will die, and that is definitely not what we want. Okay? So sure, vaccinate, because we don't know of anything that is more effective now. And there's no harm.
Right.
Well, hopefully there's no harm if we take the vaccine because it's one layer of protection. But certainly we should not ignore the other layers. And we should definitely be looking at fine-tuning our response as we go along, because everything seems to be changing. Okay? All right, then.
Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution. Let us take a short break quickly if we have no callers at this time. We're going to say a quick thank you to our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to take just a few more calls and we're going to end the program. You're listening to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. Let's take this short break. We'll be right back.
Our service is the best. Our motor insurance can give you more for less. Property insurance can save you a lot of stress. At TDC Insurance Company Limited, we care about your investment. Guarantee you peace of mind. The best team in the business. Guarantee you peace of mind. No other company will guarantee you peace of mind. Together we'll succeed and guarantee you peace of mind.
TDC Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. We have a caller. Let us take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon again. Let me get back to the conversation about Mency. I want to begin by wishing all the fathers a happy Father's Day, especially to those who try their best. There are fathers out there raising children by themselves, And there are fathers in homes who are trying their best. And there are fathers who really don't know how to father because they never had one. Now, this is where the Men's Association comes in. For all the men who don't know, you might have heard Agard, Rasta Agard is the president, and they have a vibrant association in which men meet together to discuss issues affecting men. And of course, fatherhood and fathering is discussed. And you want to encourage the young men, you know. You might not have had a father, but you have a phone too, you know, you could look it up. Look at the men in the villages, maybe on your street. Take a look at the people who you think are good fathers, and you can talk to them. Because I think some people want to be good fathers, but they don't know how. You don't think so? I don't think all of them set up to be that. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them really don't know. Because you usually pass on. I mean, of course, you could educate yourself, you know. If your father is to beat upon you, didn't want you, ignored you, you can tell yourself, I am going to be different, and learn. And as I'm encouraging the men, try and join the association. It is for you. No women there to out-talk you or over-talk you. And to the men who are out there and you have your children and you are ignoring them, these are the angry ones you're raising. You're raising, even though you don't look after them, you're actually raising a generation of angry young men. And so today, you can change from today. Tomorrow is Father's Day. Don't wait for the gift you're not going to get. Maybe you can go and visit the children, and you could apologize to some of them. It goes a long way, you know, and try to make a difference. I'm encouraging our men to live a life that is exemplary, that your children will want to copy it. You can't be running around from every hole to every hole and expect your sons and your daughters to be different. We got to do better. If we want St. Christopher to be better, a lot depends on the men, on the fathers, more than the mothers. They may not believe it. But when you got strong nations and strong people, take a look at the home. They have good fathers. So I'm encouraging all of our men, they want to start preparing. Plan to be a good father. Educate yourself. And so to all of their fathers, let me start with my son, Anthony Henry. Craig Martin, the father of my granddaughter, Aldacia. He's a good father. Brother Simeon from my church. Brother Joseph Smith from my church. You know, a number of other men in your area. And I'm encouraging, as I said, encouraging the men. Do your best. Try to be a good father. Your child deserves it. Your child deserves to have a good father. God bless you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. And thank you so much for that, Mrs. Henry. We're going to begin closing out this program. It is just 3 minutes before the end time. It's 1:27. And so we're going to begin wrapping up this program. So we're going to close the phone lines at this time. Let me say thank you to all of you who have taken the opportunity to participate in this program Inside the News today for Saturday, June 19, 2021. Thank you for your calls, your questions, your comments, your opinions. Thank you so much for your participation. Those of you who were able to join via the World Wide Web, of course, thank you so much for that. Continue to stay safe during this crucial time. The cases of COVID-19 are on the rise as we speak. I think it's safe to say that, on the rise as we speak. We are seeing double digits every day, and we're hoping that the situation is controlled by then. The SROs are currently in place for the next week or so, 2 weeks, and we're hoping that by then the public health team, would be able to get these cases under control, and we're hoping that we could get back to a level of normalcy, back to where we once were. Of course, this cannot happen with the public health team alone. We all have to play our part. The safest way to protect yourself from COVID is to operate as if everyone you come into contact with has it. So don't say, oh, I know this person, they ain't gonna COVID. Operate as if everybody you come into contact with is contaminated with the virus. Of course, that does not mean you scorn them. You make sure you have on your masks. You make sure you hand sanitize regularly, and you make sure that you keep a proper distance so not have any possible spread. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to close out this program. And just before we do that, I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We are yes, faced with the COVID-19 challenges, but let's give thanks for life. We are alive and we're doing well. Until next time, I have been your host for today, Devon Cornelius. You guys take care and have a very, very beautiful Saturday afternoon. Stay safe, everyone.
TDC Automotive is paying for you. Deposit? We're paying. 3-month installments? We're paying. Pay nothing for 3 months because we are paying.